When did you guys get here? Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Theocracy with Theo Snodgrass. I'm your host, Theo Snodgrass. How's everybody doing? Oh, man. It's nice to see you. Let's say hi to the chat real quick. Selena got first. Great job. Sammy got second. Sammy 3Pete is here. What's up, Sammy? Friend of the channel, Sammy 3Pete. Also, by the way, originator of the phrase friend of the channel. Deserves the credit for that. Because I heard somebody say the other day, I'm saying friend of the channel like Theo says. I'm like, no, 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 no. You're saying friend of the channel like Sammy 3Pete says. Put some respect on that. What's up, everybody? Wow, kind of a slow news week. Before we get into the news, I want to tell you about something I found out about recently. So I recently discovered this genre on YouTube that is basically it's faceless YouTube accounts that talk about how bad stand-up comedy is. And here's the thing. Almost every single one who runs one of these faceless YouTube accounts, I strongly suspect these are failed comedians who are doing this, or guys who never cleared the open mic scene for whatever reason. And so what they do is they will just, you know, talk endlessly about how hack everyone who's successful at comedy is. And this, to me that's it's transparent jealousy, and I know that because I feel that same impulse. I've said this before. Matt Rife ruined Christmas for me last year. Because okay, so like locally in Spokane, I was kind of known. I was known as kind of a crowd work guy, which was frustrating for numerous reasons because I put a lot of time into writing. But you know, they anyway. So I was kind of getting known as a crowd work guy, and so when I went back for Christmas, you know, people. You know, you're talking to family. They know the comedians they see on TikTok. They don't know like they don't like have their finger on the pulse of comedy. They're not gonna like if you're talking to your 15-year-old cousin, they're not going to talk to you about like Patrice O'Neill. They're into fucking Matt Rife. So they're like, oh, you do comedy? You know what you should do? You should do crowd work like that Matt Rife guy. That's what you should do. Matt Rife is so funny. Oh my God. I love Matt Rife so much. And that to me, it felt like I was being stabbed in the genitals with a machete every time I heard it. That was the like emotionally, that was how it felt. And at one point, at one point, my niece chased me down. She chased me down with the phone. She was like, "No, no, no! You don't understand how funny Matt Rife is. Here, watch this clip." And she just put it in my face and just like made me watch the clip to the end as she's just laughing, snot coming out of her nose. Isn't he amazing? And it's just hard to enjoy a holiday when stuff like that happens. Like, you just don't understand. You guys don't understand. It's just the whole art form relies on seeking external validation, right? So, anyway, it's not secure, healthy, well-adjusted people who pursue that. It's just like malignant narcissists only who need that constant external validation, right? So I think a lot of these guys that have these faceless YouTube channels, if you are not receiving, if you need that external validation or you feel like you're drowning, which is how most comedians are day to day, it's like, does everybody like me? Does everybody like me? Does everybody like me? And it's not immediately clear that everyone likes you, you feel like you're drowning. Like, that's how comedians are. They're as a whole, and this is true of other artists, especially performance artists, as well. You know, and for a lot of comedians, the material is a substitute for, well, I don't think people will like me, who I am as a person, but they might like this funny thing I wrote. Maybe if I dance for them like a monkey, they'll love me. And so if people don't love you, I think you need to come up with a reason why. And so the reason why, it's like, well, all these guys are hacks, and that's why they don't like me. It's like they like hacks, and it's like, but that still begs the question. So why are the hacks, if they're so shit at comedy, why are they so popular? Why are they so successful? So you're basically saying that either the audience is retarded, which is just like, it's like I'm perfect, the audience doesn't get it, which is just, the audience is the one who decides if it's good or not. You know, the audience gets to decide if it's good or not. So, like, if the, the audience doesn't like it, they're right. The game is make the people in the room at the time laugh. So if you're not doing that, it's on you. Figure it out, you know. But, yeah, and then, but also the other thing too is that like the system has never selected for who's the best at comedy. It's never been who's the best at comedy. It's always like, or who's the best at music or whatever that gets to be the most successful. It's like a confluence of factors like luck and marketing and all this other stuff that's completely external to the process. And it's literally always been that way. And literally the people who didn't get picked by the system have always bitched about the people who did get picked. This is just the spirit of Cain. This is the Old Testament. You know, that's how old this is. Yes, and that's where okay, Sammy, you're right. I'm getting there. You're absolutely right. To be fair, Sammy 3Pete, shout out, friend of the channel, originator of the phrase friend of the channel. To be fair, there are some comedians that cater to the lowest common denominator. That is absolutely true. And that's the other thing, because you need to, because some of this stuff is motivated by jealousy, and some of the stuff they're calling out is genuinely kind of hack. And I think this is hard for comedians too, because part of it is jealousy, but part of it is like, if you're really like doing the road, like, okay, some guys get booked, like Matt Rife gets booked because people know who Matt Rife is. I get booked because people are going to see a comedian and they're not particular about what one. So it could be me. It could be some guy doing 30 minutes of knock-knock jokes. Doesn't matter because nobody gives a fuck who I am, right? And this is true except for in select areas of the state of Washington. Shout out to the people who actually do show up to see me specifically because that means a lot to me. And you find people, of course. Best audience on the internet. So, like, I don't know where to go with that. The point is, no, Strider, I am not Matt Rife. So yeah, like, there absolutely are guys who genuinely suck, and I think this is hard because if you do if you've been to a bunch of different cities, you know there's hitters in every city. There's guys that are better than the guys on Netflix. And they're just never going to get there because they're not very good at Instagram. So they're just not going to advance in the same way because now the game is how many followers do you have on social media platforms? Guys who are successful, you either got to be personal friends with Joe Rogan or you got to, build your own shit on the internet, right? So that's what people care about. And so there's a lot of guys that are just like absolute hitters, just fucking monsters, room killers, incredible writers that I know about. I got to watch them perform, and you probably never will. And that it makes me sad, And as a guy who, likes comedy, and I also think that those people have always existed. So I don't know if that's any different today than it is now. It's just... and here's the thing. I will say this, even for the guys that are on bullshit and just terrible at comedy and just are objectively like not that fun to watch, and it makes me mad that they're successful. Even all those guys, that you could think of, name a bunch of them. All those guys did the work to get, where they're at, and they probably, and today that means they built like an incredible, some kind of like awesome social media network, or they networked with the right people, or they made the right good impression at the right time, and they must have had good sets at some point, right? Just because it's not to my taste, some people are, it's possible people like things. That's the other thing too, is like comedy's like not for everybody, and that's the other thing too. Okay, so like J. Cole isn't mad that Sabrina Carpenter is more popular than him, and that's I think what comedians struggle with is, your shit's not going to be for everybody. That's just part of it. You got to find your people. And if you are lucky enough to get enough of them that you could monetize it, God bless you. But your shit is for your people. It's not going to be for everybody. And that's the thing. Is like people want to be a comics comic and they don't want to deal with being a comics comic. Like making people laugh, making the comedians laugh is going to be different than what makes the average citizens laugh because comedians are all fucked. So, so like Jeff Dunham is just always going to be more popular than Patrice O'Neal, and that's just like how life works, and people have a hard time with that. Like Bert Kreischer is a great example of this. People shit on Bert Kreischer all the time, but he's stupendously popular because we all know a guy like that, some goofy fucking drunk guy who tells wild stories. We've all met a guy like that, and we love hanging out with him. And because of the podcast, everything, you feel like you know him, but he's a big dumb doofus, and you're like, oh, that guy, you know. So that's fun. Yeah, so people have a hard time with the fact that people like different shit than you, and they want to right. Well, yeah, I'm like super like technical and layered, and it's an allegory about late stage capitalism, and it's like, why isn't this more popular? It's because because you seem like kind of a cunt. Actually, that's why you seem like kind of a cunt, and no one wants to hang out with you. You don't seem like Bert Kreischer seems like a fun guy to hang out with. That's why he's popular. So there you go. Fixed it for you. Anyway. Yeah, and like a lot of these guys work all the time, but they like a lot of comedians are like pretentious and lazy, and they just like don't want to try, and they think they're too good to do stuff that they would need to do to move up. So that's kind of how that works. I don't want to make the whole show just me talking about comedy because that seems really pretentious. I can't imagine that's interesting to anyone besides me. So that's fun. Let's say hi to the chat real quick. That was just like meandering so that you guys would show up. Lovely Sherry. Oh, hey, what's up, girl? Sherry, friend of the channel. Happy to be here. Dennis Miller and Larry the Cable Guy aren't making the same people laugh, plain and simple. Exactly. The pretentious East Coast, like, okay, like there's stuff like the whole Daily Show genre of comedy is repulsive to me, and I recognize that it's good, but it's good in the well. Okay, Josh Johnson is good. This is why I'm like I don't want to. Josh Johnson is an incredible talent, kind of unequivocally. I will never watch a whole Josh Johnson special. And there's a guy, Chris Fleming, which you guys should definitely check out, who is sort of this like I don't know, like queer bohemian, like elitist fucking comedy that I don't really understand, but I can tell that it's incredible, and he absolutely crushes with his crowd. This is a guy who do well in like Bay Area, Portland, Seattle, kind of like quirky, like androgynous humor. He's fucking incredible. He's one of the just absolutely stupendous talent, but I don't get most of the things he's talking about. I can tell he's good at comedy. I don't understand it at all. It's just because it's not for me. It's for, like, he makes comedy for polyamorous people. Yeah. So, but he's fucking great at it. And Josh Johnson's another one. Like, I don't get that humor, but he's fucking incredible. But those are, you know, that's not the shit I like. But they don't have the same audience either. And that's the other thing too, is like now, because of just how the internet works, you just don't need you don't need everybody to like your shit. You could just do shit that the people that like what you do like. You just do it for them. You don't have to do it for everybody. And you could just like write off the fact that other people are more popular than you because it's like them's not your people. You can just do that. It's fine. And it will make you a lot happier. But like a lot of guys have a hard time doing it, and it's like the fact that hacks are successful like makes them super like uptight, even though like hacks have always been successful. Yeah. Yeah. Norm Macdonald was the peak comedian, loved the comedians, but and the average man, only midwits hated him. This is exactly right. This is exactly right. So Norm Macdonald is brilliant. I'm so glad you brought that up. I should have put this in the title. Norm Macdonald is brilliant because his jokes work on a couple of different levels. So he says, he's a smart guy pretending to be the dumbest guy in the room. And so he makes the joke and it's like a dumb joke. But then you understand, you know, on the next, if you understand that he's pretending to be dumb, it's extra funny. But if you don't understand that he's pretending to be dumb and you just think he's a dumb guy, you can also laugh. So he lets everybody think that they're smarter than him, which is a brilliant thing to do as a comedian. Everyone should think that they're better than you. That's smart. That's where Bill Maher, I think, is kind of fucked in his style. I used to think Bill Maher was really like the shit, you know. And it's really cool if you agree with him, but if you like don't agree with him, you kind of feel like he thinks you're an idiot. And that to me is like resentful, and it builds like a smug, entitled audience who just wants to be preached to about whatever. And also, Bill Maher's material, I love Bill Maher, has not aged super well. Like, I went and watched one of his specials he did when he was the same age as me to kind of see like how we compare. And it was like, oh, I was talking about like Dan Quayle and shit, and it was like, because he talks about the politics at the time, and like I'm kind of like a nerd, so I got some of it, but a lot of it I was like, yeah, what was Bob Dole popular for again? I don't, you know. And so, and, you know, talking about like universal themes is just gonna age better. Like if you look at like old, like Bill Cosby has a special, it's fucking incredible. And I know it's bad because of other reasons, but anyway. Doesn't matter. I'm not going to spend too much time defending Bill Cosby. But yeah, Norm Macdonald is fucking incredible because he understood that you got to be a common person for people to really laugh. And it's like, and the other cool thing about Norm Macdonald is you can take a Norm Macdonald joke and repeat it at work, and it will probably work. And that's not true of Bill Maher's material. That's not, you know what I mean? Like, one of the cool things about comedy is that it's like an art form that's democratized. And you can be funny by accident, which is kind of cool. That doesn't happen with like singing or painting. You don't paint masterpieces by accident. You don't hit a high note by accident and impress all the people around you. But you could be super funny. Even a very unfunny person, it can be super funny and impress a whole bunch of people and be like, yes, I crushed it. That's why I hate puns personally, but I try not to shit on pun people too much, because pun people, that's the best they can do. And I want them to have that experience. Making people laugh is a beautiful thing, and I want everybody to have that experience. So, let's see. Best open mic I ever saw, there was an absolute crash out of some guy who thought he was the smartest man in the room, throw his notebook down, go on a political rant until he was escorted from the building. Yep, and that's pretty typical open micer behavior. That's open micer behavior. That's exactly what you'd expect. It's like all these people think that they're like absolute turbo geniuses, and they're better than everybody else. And that's why and stand-up comedy is like, hey, look at me, I'm gonna tell you something. Some people use it for look at me, I'm going to tell you something. And some people use it for look at me, here's my trauma. And it's like, and some people just like, I'm going to say something shocking and horrible. And that's what they use it for. And that's mostly, and then there's like, that's how most open mics are populated, by those three categories. It's funny, you can kind of tell what gender they are by the act out. It's those three categories of open micers, most of them. And then there's like people who are working on stuff. So, and you just gotta wait. And there's like occasionally there's like crazy homeless people, and you just gotta wait. It's like, okay, everybody's turn is equal. I kind of like that though. It's grimy. It's kind of grimy. It's fun though. I like it. I like that. That's part of it. Yeah. Be the kind of guy that the audience wants to believe their funny stories are true. Yeah, that's actually super apt. Yeah, I think that's where I got cross-threaded. I think early on was I had a lot of stories and people didn't. I think audiences find them believable, but I think that my comedian peers didn't want them to be true. They didn't like that they were true, and I think that got me cross-threaded with some people. So it's like being likable is super important, and I think that's where a lot of these guys I mean, like, shit, man. You know, I'm in Vegas, so I meet a lot of there's a lot of old retired comics out here who just don't necessarily have a following, but they're like just great at comedy. but they don't necessarily have a following. And it's like being funny has never been enough. It's always been about a personal connection with the audience, you know? And they got to like you and they got to be rooting for you. They got to care about what's happening to you. That's easier than ever now in the era of YouTube and stuff, though. Like, it's way easier to, if you're not a dipshit and you can just be authentic, which that's where people fuck up, I think, is they try to be like, whoa. And I've never been a, whoa. That's, I mean, when I was younger, but not now. I've toned that way fucking down. Now I'm just like everything I talk about is stuff that I really did or really happened or, you know, that I noticed that came from my real life. Like nothing I talk about. I'm not doing this Anthony Jeselnik shit where it's like, not to shit out Anthony Jeselnik. Shout out Anthony Jeselnik. Please give me a job. But no, like I don't just like make shit up because nothing you make up is going to be funnier than reality. That's stupid to think that. That's a dumb opinion. Norm gave a masterclass of dealing with lesser comedians when he helped host the YouTube Comedy Awards, for sure. And that's something that really doesn't happen. There's not a lot of hands up in comedy. There's a lot of people. That's one of the things I like about this city and hanging out with all the old timers is I'm not constantly clocked as a threat, so I don't have to like deal with like playing the world's dumbest Game of Thrones. You know, I don't have to deal with that as much. Most people are just like doing their own thing out here, which is great and unusual in comedy scenes. And the old guys don't give a shit about you. They're just like, oh, I remember what I thought I was going to be, you know, hot shit. And they just give you a hard time. But they also, you know, they're full of good knowledge. So you actually learn a lot. And there's not a lot of that going on. Like stand-up is dying. That's the issue. That's why I'm doing this. Stand-up is dying. So thoughts on Robin Williams? Robin Williams is incredible. Is an inspiration. Now here's the thing. So I drew a couple Robin Williams comparisons since I've been doing stand-up, and that made me very happy, obviously, to hear. I don't think it's accurate, but it was made me happy to hear. I was very proud of that. The thing about Robin Williams is what people say is because he had this like rapid-fire improvisational style that he would kind of steal jokes from people to fill time between. And so people said that about him. I don't know if that's true or not. I always thought he was great. And the stuff that he's most known for as far as stand-up is stuff that's original to him. So I don't know about all that. That's just what people say. He's brilliant. And he's one of these guys that got into stand-up as like an offshoot of acting, though. Like I think acting was really his wheelhouse and really what he wanted to do. And that's fine. I mean, I don't know. A lot of comedians act sometimes, but like I think for Robin Williams, acting was actually like the main thing. That was like really his wheelhouse. That was really where he excelled. And that's an amazing thing to say considering how incredible he is at stand-up. It's so rare to master two things. I mean, Cosby did it, but that was fun. Did you guys see what I did there? Did you guys like that? Did you guys like that? Yeah, Mitch Hedberg. Brilliant. I like this. I like that we're talking about comedy. This is nice. I'm having fun. Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing about the Mitch Hedberg jokes. Here's another one where you could like repeat them to people later and and they stick with you. And that's nice. People like that. It's nice when you could like other people laugh. My comedy is geared more towards like starting arguments on the way home in the car. That's what I like to do. I want to get people talking, but kind of not in that way. I don't know. It's but Mitch Hedberg was great about that. Sometimes it's like, is the job to be funny, or is the job to make everybody pay attention to my trauma, or is the job to make everybody listen to what I have to say as I try to educate them? And a lot of guys lose track of the whole point is to be funny and not tell some like weird story about your life that isn't interesting. You know, a lot of guys lose track of the fact that like the point is to be funny. And that's something that like Mitch Hedberg and Norm Macdonald understood really well. Yes. Wife is off, funny by accident. That's a good trait, and that's a trait in a good woman. Frequently funny by accident. That's ideal. Also, Theo, why are you dressed like Bono? People keep asking me that. These are just blue light filter glasses. That's it. Yeah. Thanks, I appreciate you. Yeah, it's just blue light filter. Yeah. Last open mic I went to, some kid tried to do an acoustic version of Rebel Yell and had zero sexual prowess. He even had the little music stand with sheets on it. LOL. Yeah. It's tough. People are out there doing it, and you got to get practice in front of people. That's the issue. Yeah, you gotta do shit in front of people. Well, that's the other thing too. Is like comedy's constantly humbling you. Okay, so there's an optimal bomb ratio that's not zero. To bomb is to do badly. For those of you that are uninitiated, civilians in the audience. To bomb is to do badly, and the optimal amount of times to bomb is not zero. Because if you're never bombing, then you're only performing safe material that you're sure is going to work, which means you're probably not taking any risks. You're probably not writing anything new. This is the Jerry Seinfeld problem. You're rehashing a lot of the same stuff, and you're not writing new stuff or taking risks or trying out things that might, like, it has to go badly some of the time, or you're just not trying hard enough to get better. It's kind of like with weightlifting. You got to fail your lifts sometimes. It's like that, or if you're like, where you got to fail some of the time or you're not growing enough, essentially. So you have to do shitty in front of people, and that has to happen in front of people. That can't happen in a hermetically sealed room. It has to happen in front of people. So you have to look stupid in front of people some percentage of the time, and we all have our different ways of dealing with that. Then, especially when you're first starting out, you have to do it a lot in a row. That's very tough. Usually what typically happens a lot of times, the way people get hooked on stand-up, is if your first time goes really well and your second time goes really badly, you'll never quit. That's usually how it goes, because then you get the type of personality that attracts stand-up. That's what hooks it. So, yeah. So that's typically what happens, by the way. Your first time, it's not that you killed it, it's that your perception is that you killed it because some of the things you did actually worked. And you're like, oh my God, I am great at this. I always knew I'd be great at this, and I am. And then the second time goes horrible. And you're like, what happened? I thought I was great at this. And then you're chasing that high for the rest of your life. That's what happens. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. All right. That was fun. Speaking of Cosby, this is actually a great transition. Great transition. You guys seen the Epstein stuff? Holy shit, man. A lot of stuff going on there. We're going to go ahead and I'm going to take a look at some of this news footage, and I'm going to react to it. And we'll see if anything is clippable. This is just me clip farming, by the way. You guys are just hanging out with me while I farm clips. I could, if I had any decency, I would have filmed this without you here. If there's any part of me that had the emotion of shame or something approximating a work ethic, I would be filming this without you here. And I would be learning to edit it. But I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that, because if I live stream it, that's extra content. Then we're going to cut it into little pieces, and I'm going to push out the little pieces. And then we're going to cut it into little shorts, and I'm going to push out the little shorts. To create content, because that's what the world demands of me. Shout out Sammy 3-Pete. I'll bite you as Epstein. That's funny. Okay, let's see. Actually, I'm going to try this. Last time I did this, my stream got nuked, so we're going to see. But this is the Epstein files have dropped. The Epstein files we've all been waiting for. Now, apparently, like 97% of it is stuff we already have seen. But even 3% of 30,000 pages is like, it's like 1,000 pages. Or 33,000 pages is like 900 pages or something. I don't know. I mathed it out yesterday in the calculator. The point is, so still a lot of pages. There could be something interesting in there. Who knows? And we got the 1 minute of missing missing prison footage, and it's just not. It's basically they're giving us jack and shit. But my theory is they're giving us nothing, but they're still going to use it. The political parties are still going to use it to go at each other. So I'm interested to see how that goes. Let's go ahead and watch some of this.
For their tireless work in the pursuit of justice. And I want to thank Sarah Drury on my team for working with them. Above all, I want to thank the survivors who are here today, whose courage and strength have brought us to this moment. I want to thank my co-lead, Congressman Thomas Massie.
All right, so part of what I've noticed this whole time, and we're going to get into this, I felt like they were trying to emotionally manipulate me the entire time. Okay, I feel like this whole thing, and we'll kind of
and
get
Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene for standing with survivors here today. Moderates, and yes, MAGA supporters, to demand.
That's the other thing too, is they're trying to push this idea that it's like progressives and moderate politicians and MAGA supporters that are all joining forces to demand the release of these files. So I don't know, like, so I'm immediately suspicious. If all, like, I'm immediately, did you guys see the video? Okay, I don't need to look at this. Okay, I'm gonna need to look at this. Hold on, give me a second. Okay, I don't need to look at this. Did you guys see the video of Nancy Mace kind of leaving? So she was at this interview with the Epstein victims, right, or whatever, and then she leaves it, and there's a bunch of like cameras there and shit. And she leaves, and she's just like visibly emotional. And she's like, I'm just so emotional because I was harassed or whatever. I don't know, whatever her deal is, right? I think people assumed it's like, oh man, this is a really powerful, moving moment. And nobody was like saying kind of the obvious thing, which is that it seemed to me to be performative. Like she knew when she walked out of that room with tears on her face, there were going to be cameras there, right? And I don't know why everyone's assuming that this was like a sincere emotional reaction and not something calculated. You know, like, and this is, Strider makes a great point. We were going to get to this. The best part of the Epstein files has been the Democrats' desperate attempt to link him to Trump, and yet not a single victim lists as an abuser. But now Gloria Allred is involved. Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing. So I think what's actually happening here. And as soon as Gloria Allred got involved, I got suspicious. I was like, no, this was not good. And you will see this in kind of this news conference. I don't want to wade through all this footage because it's stupid. But like basically what they're saying is that this is a bunch of, because it's female, it's Nancy Mace and it's Marjorie Taylor Greene and it's Anna Paula Luna. It's all the girl Republicans basically that are standing up for them. They're like, oh, this is strong, empowered women supporting the strength of strong, empowered women and the courage of strong, empowered women. I'm like, oh, okay, all right. So now I think you're lying to me. Now I think you're lying to me based on that. Yeah. Now I think you're lying to me. I don't know why. I don't know why, but I do think you're lying to me. And you're trying to, set up an emotional narrative where you're pitting, and I was like, where you're pitting these kind of like aggrieved, victimized women as being like emotional. Hold on, I need to shut my door. Give me 1 second. You guys stay there. All right, there you go. I'm back. Did you miss me? Yeah, and then, the fact that Gloria Allred is involved made me immediately suspicious. For those of you that don't know, Gloria Allred is one of these people, like Al Sharpton is for race stuff. That is Gloria Allred for women's issues. She was, like, all up in everybody's business in the 90s doing this stuff, doing, like, activism for women's rights. And that's her whole brand. Is anytime anybody's accusing anybody of like sexual assault or whatever, that's like her bad signal, and she shows up, right? And she has a history of going after Bill Clinton and Donald Trump both. So this is like a great opportunity. I also think that for the mainstream media, I think the main thing they're trying to do is set up this idea that it's these like aggrieved victims who've been harmed, and they're going to somehow imply that Donald Trump is responsible, or that he's like in the Epstein files, and that's why he doesn't want to release them. Meanwhile, Trump, for his part, has been like, "What Epstein files? What are you talking about? I've been working. I'm working. What are you talking about? What files? What files? What files? Your files." Which I hate. That I hate that, because it's like, okay, well, I don't know why. I would like to know why he's doing that. I don't know why. None of us know why. Probably not a good reason. And I think I object to that because it's like, I've said this before, but it's like he's talking to us. Like, I know what that is because I cheat, right? I have cheated. I know what it looks like when you're, that's how Trump talks to his wife when he gets caught cheating. It's like, what are you talking about? Let's just move past it. I was working. I worked so hard. What about you? Like, that's the strategy. Like, I know what that is because I've done it. I don't do it anymore. I'm retired from that. I don't do that anymore. Don't approve of that. Disavow. I am saying I know what it looks like, though. Pretty unequivocally, he's just like lying and like throwing distractions because he doesn't want us to look over there. And I don't know why. I don't know why. A lot of people are speculating that there's like a ton of like world leaders in there. And if you release the files, then it's going to cause like a cataclysm of upset in world leadership. I don't know if that's true. Maybe that's true. That might be true. But I know that like the way that they are pushing this, and let's look at Gloria Allred. I think I have that tape. Hold on. Let's pull her up. She's right here. Let's just look at what she said, and then you'll kind of get a sense of what I mean, hopefully. Go ahead. Oh, no. My DMs are open. Don't do that.
Word is...
Hold on.
Was that justice?
What? Oh, this isn't working.
We're overdue for justice. We're not going to be waiting for justice. We are fighting for justice. And let me tell you.
See how she's just getting people riled up? Like, that's her thing. Like, she's just getting people riled up. Like, she's really good at getting public outrage going. So, as a vehicle for leverage to getting attention on stuff. So basically, if you get a bunch of people to pay attention on stuff and care about an outcome, and you frame the narrative really well, then you can put pressure on public officials to do what you want. And yeah, I don't obviously this is like really popular. I think the left kind of stumbled into a win here as something to, because this was an unforced error by Trump, because he talked all this shit about how he was going to release the Epstein files, which is, by the way, an issue that really only people on our side of the internet really care about. Like, Joe Schmo, like the average person, I don't think, certainly on the left, does not really care that much about this. But people who voted for Trump, a lot of them, this was a big reason why. So the fact that Trump talked all this shit about how he's going to release the Epstein files, and for a lot of people, that was the reason they voted for him. And then to then be like, oh, what Epstein files? What? Like, I think he thought, because he was killing on so many other of his policy initiatives, that he was going to be able to just gloss over that. But that is a deal breaker for a lot of people. And the left, because of this unforced error by Trump, the left has kind of stumbled into a win here, where they're like, oh, all right. Well, we'll apply pressure to this. And what are we going to do? We're going to have a bunch of female journalists interviewing the female victims. We're going to make them all like sound super sad. And then we're going to interview them, and they're going to talk about how they were molested before and blah, 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 blah. This is the whole narrative of this, big pile of victim, and also survivor. That's the other one. They're throwing that word in there, right? It's like, these are these people who have like been in this really tough situation. Ooh, and then you could use that to build all this public outrage and emotional backlash against Trump, and he's handling it super poorly. And that's what Gloria Allred did. Like, she is a master. She is a master at constructing these narratives and building that kind of public outcry. So she's
No
great.
more talk of the word pedophiles, which only means a man who is attracted to children. We're not talking about pedophiles. We're talking about sexual predators and child molesters. Let's get the word in about what the crime was that they committed.
Yeah, do you see how she's using? Yeah, so this is, here's the thing. I think that's the public sentiment that a lot of people agree with, right? This is really upsetting. But my concern is that they're the ones saying it, and it's like, okay, why? What are you doing? And I want to know what we're not, supposed to be like. What's crazy is, like, right before this, Trump, like, used a missile to take out some kind of, like, Venezuelan drug cartel boat that was, like, right off the coast, right? So that was kind of crazy. And it was like, I think he was trying to get good headlines, because the headlines for the past, like, few days have been, there was the shooting, then is Trump dead? And then the Epstein files are dropping. So the framing is the Epstein files are dropping, and that the Trump administration is trying to block it. And it's like, and so the Democrats are trying to construct or the left media, I guess, the media establishment is trying to construct this narrative that the reason Trump is blocking it is because the releasing the files would reflect badly on him. And they want that idea to stick in your head, and there's just they want, oh, what's up, guys? Let's say hi to the chat real quick. Let's see. Yeah. What's up, Vagabond? Yeah. Yeah, shout out to Iron Oxide. We're going to be covering this in detail on Ironcast tonight. So there's a lot of new stuff. There's a lot of new stuff going on right now. So I'm assuming more stuff is going to come out by tonight. Yeah. I don't know. I'm deeply suspicious. I want to know what I'm not supposed to be looking at. Because none of the stuff that they're giving us is actually new information or has moved the ball. Nobody's gotten arrested. So we're left with this inescapable conclusion that Ghislaine Maxwell's the only one that's been held responsible. It's like, who did she traffic to? Exactly. Yeah. I don't know. And why now? Why is this important right this second? If this has been, why is this politically expedient such that a bunch of different Congress people are all cooperating at the same time in what looks like a coup against the White House? So you have Democrats and people, and it's like everybody I don't trust at all is involved in this. Like, I think Jasmine Crockett said she's involved in it. She supports it. Like, Nancy Mace, I don't trust at all. Anna Paula Luna, I don't trust at all. Marjorie Taylor Greene, I don't trust at all. Although she may be a true believer. I wouldn't be surprised. But, Thomas Massie, I think, is cool. But, I don't know. I want to know what I'm not supposed to be looking at. And I hate how the media, I don't want to show the clips because I don't want to get my shit nuked again, but I don't like how I don't like the way the media is trying to get me to have emotions. Anytime the media is trying to get me to have particular emotions, I'm immediately resentful of that, and I'm suspicious. I was like, why? Why is it that you want me? Why is it that you want me to, what are you trying to get at here? So, Let's see. Here, let's dive into this clip. Oh, you guys aren't seeing that. Hold on. I'm going to show one more. Check this out. This is something. Notice this, okay? Watch this.
Epstein himself was the most powerful leader of our country. Epstein surrounded himself, with the most powerful leaders of our country and the world. He abused not only me, but countless others, and everyone seemed to look away. The truth is, Epstein had a free pass. He bragged about his powerful...
Who are these people? Why are we... That's the thing. They said they're going to drop... Nobody's naming names yet. They're just... This is just all foreplay. This is all just like cock teasing. Like, what's the point of this? Like, you've completely captivated the news cycle. Now tell us the information. What are we doing here?
friends, including our current president, Donald Trump.
There it is. There it is. There it is. There's an attempt to link it to Trump right there. You see that? Now, what she did not say, she's very careful. She just said that Epstein and Trump are friends, and that's objectively true. Trump has confirmed that. Now, here's the thing. It's not what she said, because what she said is factually true, so she can't be sued for it. But she can't be sued successfully for it. But it's not what she said, it's the insinuation, right? The insinuation of what being a rich guy who's friends with Jeffrey Epstein means. Haha, Trump, that's why you won't release the Epstein files. And that's what I'm supposed to say, Joe Schmo viewer at home. That's what I'm supposed to say. I'm supposed to be like, hey, why won't you release? Is because you were friends with him and you guys were diddling kids together? That's what I'm supposed to say. Yeah, and it's like which is so weird because it's like not what the Ghislaine Maxwell said in her interviews. And there's a lot to go into there. I don't really have time to cover that. If you want to hear more about the Ghislaine Maxwell interviews and stuff, make sure to tune into Ironcast tonight. I don't have time to get into that. There's a lot going on there. The media is trying to make it sound like they were all buddy together. They were just like hanging out and vibing, which I can't imagine is true. I don't know. It's just like every attempt to get information about this seems to yield nothing. And I think that's incredibly frustrating for the public. And this is like meant to stoke emotional demand for answers. So that's the purpose of this. So the point of this is to increase public pressure. That's the desired outcome. So my question is, why do they want to do that? Because here's the thing. If you think that they want to increase public pressure to release the Epstein files because they're really excited to tell the American people the truth, I don't think that's a smart take. There's no reason to think that they're all of a sudden excited about correctly informing people, or that the media has suddenly decided that they want to tell everybody the truth, or to have some kind of meaningful, substantive dialogue on serious issues. I don't think there's any reason to believe that's true. So then my question is, why? If it's not to inform us or tell us the truth or to hold powerful people accountable or speak truth to power or get justice for victims, it's not any of the things they're saying it is. So what is it? What is it this time? What is it this time? Anyway.
It was his biggest brag, actually.
Not trying to shit on this girl, by the way. Shout out to this girl. It's not her fault.
And while what I endured will haunt me forever, I live every day with PTSD. I live as a mother trying to raise my child while distrusting a world that has betrayed me. This kind of trauma never leaves you. It breaks families apart. It shapes the way we see every...
All right. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of this going on. So another one I noticed, okay, so they did kind of this, they're doing, hold on. Oops. I need a producer. Okay, so this, okay, so this was one they were doing. This is on YouTube. I'm not going to do too much. So basically over here during the interview, this is one of the girls, and she tells her story of early life, blah, blah, blah. other times I got abused. So they're basically crafting this whole abuse narrative to where she's like been abused her whole life and everything's bad. Da da da. Meets Jeffrey Epstein. Bad things happen. Blah 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 blah. Right? Not good. Not good. Right? But again, so the front. If you look at this video though, if you look at time spent, see that they got that shot of her crying. Okay. So the first half of this video is just about this one person. So they're telling us this really sad story to make us have sad feelings. And then they're coming in with the shot of the survivors walking triumphantly in some kind of like public building, right? And then we're going to talk to them, you know, interesting. And we're going to talk to them, you know, one-on-one, and they're going to say things. And you got lip filler here, and she's saying what she's saying, and let's give them a chance.
Because to become a master manipulator, you have to be lots of things to lots of people, and you have
Yes, that's true. That's true.
to be that person who's all things to all people.
All things to all people. Fascinating. Very profound. Go ahead.
And he was very charismatic. He could be very charming. He could be very cruel. He could be whatever the situation called for. And that
Oh my God, just like your ex-boyfriend. See what I'm saying? And then what do? Bam! Bam! I told you! And then they cut to a shot of Trump because you're thinking all those thoughts about like, oh man, this guy's really bad. This guy's really bad. This guy's really bad. Shot of Trump. That's making now all those bad emotions you're having are on him now. You see how they did that? Do you see how they did that? Anyway.
Investigative files on Epstein after initially promising to produce a so-called client list of people connected to Epstein.
And that is a fuck up. Like, I don't think anybody's like defending that. But just, okay, what I'm saying is like, don't assume that this is like the media is trying to like serve you and give you good information. This is just a power game that's playing out. So the media is trying to attack him because he attacked them. And they're trying to pounce on this unforced error, which created an opportunity for them to follow this line of attack. I don't think that the Epstein files are coming out. I don't think we're getting any information. I don't think we're getting any kind of justice. This is just like a naked power game that they're doing right now. So, yeah. This is just an attack piece on Trump. You see how they did that? And you're like, and at home, if you're like Joe Schmo viewer, you're like, oh, man, fuck Trump. Why won't he release it? That's what you're thinking is, you know, Joe Schmo viewer. But
Who may have participated
they
in
don't feel bad for the victims. That's the thing. If they actually, you know, they don't care about the victims. They don't care about justice. They don't care about women's rights. They don't care about any of the things that are implicated here. They do not care. They don't have any regard for it. There's no regard for it. They don't care. They just don't care. It's only about the process of taking out the Orange Man bad. They got to take him out. That's their enemy. Well, to be fair, he was trying to take them out too. So this is like a back and forth thing between them. These are powerful people fighting with each other. And they're using this like a horrible thing that happened as sort of well, the term is political football, I guess. But it's not necessarily like, I don't know if it's strictly speaking like a left-right thing, because there's like Republicans and Democrats involved. It does seem like it's like, I think there's a lot of people that have beef with Trump for a lot of different reasons. And this is just the moment that they're all kind of coming out of the woodwork. Same thing happened with Drake and Kendrick last year. Like they just used that excuse. A bunch of people used that as an excuse to just go after Drake. This is like, yeah, and another thing. That's the same thing that's happening to Trump. Trump is kind of the Drake of presidents, I feel like. I don't think it's a bad comparison. I'm standing by that. I said it. I meant it. I'm standing by it. Let's check in with the chat. See what chat's doing. Let's see. Iron's a nice guy. Yeah, he is. Shout out Iron Oxide. Like I said, we're going to be doing a lot more detailed, interesting, entertaining, up-to-date version of Epstein coverage tonight for Ironcast, which is going to be your Thursday news entertainment show. It's going to be a comedy news show. It's going to be a lot of fun. Hard to make this material funny. We're doing our doing our best. Let's see who else is here. I wrote a Substack on the dangers of the list not being released. Yes, Godfo. Go check out Godfo Universe, by the way. Friend of the channel, Godfo Universe. Moral corruption brings apocalypse. Yeah, I think now, especially now that people know about it. We have this idea in modern society that you can just kind of like have what you have in private, and then that's not going to affect your day-to-day life or how you perform your duties or your like actual like the morality that you have to society. And it's like, I don't think that's true at all. I think that if you're doing really horrible, disgusting things in your private life, that absolutely has implications in your public life. Also, there's something to the fact, like, if the allegations of what was going on in Epstein's Island is true, then that would mean that the people who rule us are some of the worst, most morally depraved people you could possibly imagine. And it's crazy to think that that doesn't have consequences. It absolutely has consequences. And if that's true, it would serve the interests of most of us if we could get rid of those people absolutely as soon as we possibly could. And the only way we could possibly do that is if we know who they are. And even then, like, I don't know if the nation is even going to begin to heal from something like that. There needs to be some kind of accountability. Like, we can't like know that happened and that all the people who did it are just like walking. Those are still the people in charge, right? Because nobody's been held accountable. So I think that really just does not sit right with people. And I think what's tricky about this is not a genuine attempt to hold people accountable. This is a sleight of hand to go after Trump for personal reasons. This is just a power game. So, yeah, vagabond is right. I think the whole thing's a distraction at this point. I want to know what we're not supposed to be looking at. And the only explanation, as far as I'm concerned, is that the list is too politically valuable on blackmail to release and that they want to consolidate power it allows for themselves. Yeah, I think so too. I think it's extremely politically valuable, and well, I'm assuming a lot of people are on it too. It makes it seem like that it's the other thing too is that I understand the problem with so I guess the argument against releasing it is that people can't handle the truth, and the public backlash is going to be so extreme that bad things will happen. But also keeping a lid on this thing and continuing to lie about it also has disastrous consequences. So I think, the truth is painful, but you can kind of judge the emotional maturity of both a person and a society by its ability to tolerate unpleasant truths. Like, this is why the left struggles so much, because you can't upset them emotionally, and sometimes the truth is upsetting to hear. Do you see what I'm saying? So we kind of live in a very, very immature society that's like hysterical and emotional and has no ability to tolerate truth. And because of that, the people who know the truth are trying to keep it from us. And I think that is actually going to create worse outcomes in the long run than just being honest about who the people who involved are. Because then, I mean, once I honestly, even if we don't get everybody, I think if some people are going to hold accountable, that's going to do a lot. It's going to do a lot to heal the nation, because you can't just like walk away from this. That's the thing. Like, the fact that Trump thinks he could just pretend it never happened, wave his hands, bomb a couple of, drug cartels and think that that's going to do it. Like, no, dude, this is a big deal. This is a big deal. And how this plays out is going to have a huge impact on Trump's legacy. And because this is what's frustrating about it is it's completely unforced error. It's just ammunition for his enemies. And look how they're using it. So let's see what else they do here. Let's see. Okay, we're talking. She's sad. This one's like, I'm a Republican and I voted for you. So it's like sad. Let's see what she's saying. All right, hold on. We're just going to let that ad play. Yeah, dude. It seems pretty obvious that this is a coordinated media attack on Trump just because he fucked up and, kind of put the ball on the tee for him. I don't really blame them for doing that. I mean, that's They're in a fight for survival, and Trump is an existential threat to the survival and credibility of the legacy media. So they're attacking him with absolutely everything they've got, which I don't blame them for that. But well, because they're lizard people and they're just like self-interested and they're just doing what's right for them. They don't care. It's only like blameworthy if you think that they have some kind of like duty to tell the American public the truth and to keep them informed. And that's not how they see it. I mean, they may believe that internally, but really what they do is just like lie and slander people to serve their own selfish interests and try to influence public opinion such that it serves their interests. So if you look at them as like a machine that creates slop and propaganda to try to like placate and manipulate people to serve their own rational interest, their selfish rational interest, then they're doing great. They're crushing it. So it's only upsetting if you think that they, like I said, have some kind of duty to tell you the truth. I mean, it's fine to think that. I mean, it would be nice if that were true, but, see what we got.
To a point where you almost didn't think of it as abuse.
I was so confused over it for many years because back then people looked at him like, he was mysterious, he wasn't a playboy and out there, but everyone looked at him with respect. And so it wasn't until he passed away and the survivors started speaking out where I realized that some of the men he had sent me to, which I thought were just business relationships, many other women were sent to the same man.
All right. Yeah, big numbers, big numbers, big numbers. Whoa. There it is. Big numbers. You see that? See how big those numbers are? Oh, man, that's super ominous. It's crazy because all this stuff was still true. My thing with this is like all this stuff was still true like 6 months ago. Jeffrey Epstein died when Trump was president the first time. And all this stuff has been true this whole time. So I think the thing a lot of people are asking is like, why is this happening now and not any time prior to that? If this was such like a critical media priority, why weren't they reporting on this when Biden was president? Why weren't they reporting on this before this? This is all in the wake of Trump talking all this shit about how he was going to release the files and then not doing it. And now this is their opportunity to kind of dive in and twist the knife. And that's what's happening. So he fucked up and the media is just like, putting belt to ass for that, and he kind of deserves it. But this is not, I think what's bothering me about this is they're trying to dress it up like this is some like sincere search for justice, and a lot of people do want to see justice. A lot of people do want to know whose names were on that list, and there's good reasons to know that. And also all these people that were victimized do deserve to get some kind of like some kind of justice. There have to be negative consequences to people in power doing horrible things, because if there aren't, then we live in a society that's just completely corrupt and overwhelmed by degeneracy. And I don't think anybody wants to believe that. And I think the fucked up part is I think we all kind of know deep down it's worse than we think it is. Whatever we think it is, it's worse. And the way that our media and our institutions and our government is choosing to respond to that is by turning it into a, this is professional wrestling for nerds. They're just playing with us. They're just fucking with our emotions. It's all fake. It's like they're trying to like frame it like a soap opera because they want to emotionally manipulate you. And they want you to emotionally manipulate you so they can get you to think a certain way. And I think they know this is a pain point for people. This was not a media priority prior to this, but they know it's a pain point for a lot of people. And they know that they can use it as a weapon against Trump. So I think that's what they're going to do. And, I guess to some degree he probably deserves it. But I would really like it if he just released the shit. But I feel sorry for the victims, but we can't do anything if names are not released. It's just becoming a waste of time. Yeah, and I think a lot of people feel that way. It's like, all right, I get that it was bad, but are you going to tell us who did it or not? Because this is, by the way, they were on camera and they were saying, we're going to release names. Like, okay, who? And then here they are again on camera. And the only name I'm hearing over and over again is Donald Trump. Isn't that interesting that that's the only name that keeps getting mentioned over and over again? It's almost like they don't want to muddy the waters. They only want us to think of one thing. We think Epstein, Donald Trump. Epstein, Donald Trump. They're mentioning them together. Big bad emotions tied to Donald Trump. All right, let's see. Let's see how they wrap this up. Let's look. Big bad emotions, big numbers, more emotions. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so that's just like, there's going to be more of that, I assume, later. There's more of that report will be released later today. But, yeah, dude. I think the only name that keeps getting consistently mentioned is Donald Trump. That's it. And which is crazy because that if they wanted to report on that, they could just as well report on the Ghislaine Maxwell interview where she says that Donald Trump didn't do nothing. So... which is, and by the way, none of the survivors are alleging that Donald Trump did anything at this point. But his name is definitely connected to this guy in a way that is troublesome for him. And I don't know if he knows I don't know that he's thought of an intelligent way to handle that. You know, and now he's in this situation where this is like an anchor wrapped around his neck that is going to like torpedo his entire legacy if he's not careful. So that's tricky. That's a tricky situation. And he's not navigating it well. And now the media has some significant leverage. I mean, look at all the stuff they did to him when they didn't have anything to go on. And now he's just handed them this on a silver platter, and they're just running with it. So, yeah, I think this is just all of Trump's enemies coalescing around a point of weakness for him and kind of going after it. I would really like to see him release it too, but like also at this point, I'm also the other thing I'm thinking, and people have brought this up in the chat. I'm also trying to wonder what we're not looking at right now. What are they not covering? Because remember, the whole time they were covering other dumb bullshit on the news, they were neglecting this story, right? But now this is a media priority. By the way, there was a shooting in Minneapolis not that long ago. Do you guys remember that? I did a whole show about it like 2 or 3 shows ago. That was not that long ago. And we have new information. There's a lot of important questions about that, too, that we should talk about. And the news cycle has completely shifted since then. Nobody's talking about that anymore. And I had a lot of questions about that. Like, I wanted to know how that happened. You know, I think a lot of people did. But, you know, things move on. And I think, I don't know. For some reason, this is a story that they want us to pay attention to right now. I think what bothers me most about it is that this is not a genuine attempt to bring justice to anyone. It's just very much like the short story, The Ones Who Walk Away from Homeless, where the entire society knows something evil holds their world together, but they won't face it. Bingo. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Don't believe anyone who says, I used to be a Republican, but thanks to this, I'm not anymore. Nope, always a play it. Yeah, I get it. Also, party loyalty is like not that important. I don't know, that just doesn't mean anything to me because I'm like, I think the two parties are the two like state-approved ways of thinking. Like if you don't like the message or the left-wing normie lib talking points, then great, got great news for you. You could believe all the opposite things and you're fine. You're still controllable because now you're fitting into this like bickering dynamic. It sucks because you could just like, it's just like safe to assume at this point that they're lying to us all the time. The government is lying to us and the media is lying to us, and it's just safe to assume that. And you're like, okay, well, that's weird. And it's weird that people like still have opinions on stuff, right? It's like you, because it's like you have an opinion on stuff because you watched the news or read the news, and the news is lying to you, and you still like, that's my opinion and I'm informed because I read the news. That's weird to me. I don't know if it's worse to be like uninformed or misinformed. The way I'm kind of reading it headlines right now is I'll like read the headlines and I'll be like, what emotion do they want me to feel when I'm reading this? And why do they want me to feel that emotion? What are they hoping that I'll do with that? That's kind of how I read it now. And what I walked away from all the Epstein coverage is like, I think they want a big upswell of emotional pressure leveraged at Trump. So that's what I think is going on. I don't know. I don't have any proof of that. That's just like me connecting the dots. Let's see what else. Let's see. What other videos did I want to show you guys? Oh, here's another one. Here's another one. This is another one that they showed, by the way. They keep showing this chick.
Who I saw and what I experienced there.
Oops.
Us Epstein survivors have been discussing creating our own list. We know the names. Many of us were abused by them.
Whoa.
Now, together as survivors, we will confidentially compile the names we all know. In the year 2000, I was taken to Jeff.
Whoa, you hear that? They're going to do it. They're going to do it. It's been a couple days and they haven't done it, but they're definitely going to do it, guys. Is anybody like, at this point, I feel like we're all just like, all right, call us when you do it. You know, it's crazy because this is like legitimately an important story, and that the way that they're handling it is making people numb and apathetic to it. That's, I think, the real horror of the media lying the way that it does is that the apathy is going to set in.
Jeffrey Epstein's island while on a photo shoot on a nearby island. Who I saw and what I experienced there was a glimpse into a very dark and disturbing world. For years after, I tried to avoid Jeffrey. Epstein's reach went to the very top of fashion, arts, and entertainment.
Who?
This did not just happen to underage
What are
girls
their
in Florida.
names?
In New York City, hundreds of young, ambitious women were abused by him.
Right.
Us
Okay. No, we got
Epstein's-
that. We know that already. What are the fucking? You see what I'm fucking talking about? Just tell me who the person is. Just tell me. This is like when your girlfriend won't tell you what's wrong. It's like, just guess. No. I'm not. Is there any? I'll give you $1,000 if we could just skip to the part where you tell me what the problem is. Can we just skip ahead in this conversation to the part where you tell me what the problem is, and then we can go from there. Who? Just say the words. I don't guess. That's what it feels like to me. Just tell me who the person is. Okay, hold on. I'll be right back. You guys stay here. All right, I'm back. Thanks for not leaving. You guys are great. Best audience on the internet. Jesus. Yeah, I don't want to talk about this fucking Epstein shit anymore. I mean, I'm going to talk about it tonight. If you want to hear more about the Epstein shit, you got to come watch me on Ironcast tonight. That's over on my buddy Iron Oxide's channel. Shout out Iron Oxide, friend of the channel. Okay. What are we doing? Where did I put that? Yeah, I had another one I wanted to share with you. This was fucking embarrassing. This clip was going around. Okay. Beep. All right, hold on. I know I just set up this clip and then I stopped talking, so just bear with me. It's coming. I promise. It's coming. So, I don't know. Have you guys noticed the... I don't think I've talked about the Taylor Swift phenomenon enough. And not the actual phenomenon of Taylor Swift getting engaged, but the way that, like, millennial white women are reacting to it. This is like their messiah coming full circle. Right, to the point that it's embarrassing, and it's all of them. It's like otherwise women that you would assume are like otherwise like normal and intelligent are having absolutely fucking hysterical reactions to Taylor Swift's engagement, to the point that it's like immediately you're like, I don't know if you should be in charge of anything important. Like honestly, all right, let's go ahead and show this on stream. There we go. Okay, go ahead, rest. So this is for those of you. To set this up, this is CBS News reporter Olivia Rinaldi discovers Taylor Swift is engaged to Travis Kelce. This is a CBS News reporter. So as we're told, the media are the most important, most serious, most thoughtful people in our society. Go ahead. Let's see what she's got.
Taylor Swift is engaged. Taylor Swift is engaged.
Taylor Swift is engaged. Are you excited? Are you as excited as she is?
Swift is engaged. Come back to me. She just posted it. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Very important. This is a very important person who tells you the important information that you need to know to make important life decisions and to know what's going on in the world. It's this person. It's this person. And she also has influence on what you need to know.
Oh, it's huge. The ring is ginormous. This is so exciting. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. It's on her Instagram. It's on her Instagram. It's on her Instagram. Oh my God. 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 I feel like Paul Revere right now.
She feels like Paul Revere right now. This is her Paul Revere moment. I want you to think about that. And also know that this is one of the people who decides what news it's important for you to know. Remember that. She just said this is her Paul Revere moment. Go ahead.
This is a very exciting moment for me in my professional career because I get to announce that Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce are engaged. As you're talking to Joe Lang, our lovely producer Gabby Ake texted me and said Taylor Swift's engaged, and you can see it right there on her social media.
Awesome. Oh, wow. That's so good. I'm so glad that happened. Oh, I'm so glad that happened. Oh, Jesus. Okay. That was fucking painful. So that's an adult woman acting like a teenage child. And I know what you're thinking. Theo, why can't you just let girls have fun? Just let girls have fun. Just let women enjoy things. Why can't women have hobbies? Totally get it. Totally hear you. No, though. You can't do this and also pick the president. You see what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. You can't tell me that you're like your opinion about reality is equally important and also behave this way. You see what I'm saying? And it's weird. I don't understand why. I think I get it to some degree. So What I've heard about Taylor Swift when women talk about her is that she has a really good sense of the internal world of women and that her writing reflects their thoughts really well. And also she had kind of a quintessential millennial experience. She's like the fantasy for all. She's like the white girl boss feminism if it were a person. Because she's a serial dater, she's a billionaire, and she got married in her mid-30s, she is the promise, what all millennial women were told was possible for them. They could be a serial dater, get their heart broken numerous times, never take accountability for their actions, never be held responsible for the harm that they cause to other people, become a billionaire, be told, even though you're, no matter what your level of attractiveness is, you can become a billionaire. You can, everyone's going to tell you how wonderful and special and good you are. And all the men who ever wrong you, you can just talk shit about them in public, talk about how horrible they are. And everyone will validate you and tell you you're amazing. And then you can get married in your mid-30s to a super hot guy who supports everything that you do and just like performatively simps for you in public. That's the story that millennial women were told was going to happen for them, and that happened for Taylor Swift. And so this is like their avatar that they like to live through. And they have this like cult-like obsession with her. She is like white women's Beyonce. For sure. Like, you can't criticize Taylor Swift. It jeopardizes I talked about this on the show before. There are guys who didn't get laid because they were not sufficiently excited for Taylor Swift's engagement. Like, that didn't happen for them. Like, we were acting like this is their best friend getting engaged. Like, this is somebody that they know. And I don't know. I just don't get, I mean, obviously it's not for me. Like, I don't have anybody like that. Like, I guess where it's like, oh my God, this is like, completely disruptive, and I would orient my whole life around this person's happiness. And if they're like, I think what's crazy is that this couldn't wait until after work. Like, this is a serious person, and this couldn't wait until after work. You couldn't be like, oh, or that this was like, okay, let's report this. I'm gonna report this. Hooray! I don't know. I don't understand. I understand that this is like significant news, but I kind of look at this as like two companies merging, because like Taylor Swift is like more so a brand than a person. So she's worth like $1 billion. So this is more like this is like a merger of two businesses, and I think it's gonna be like carefully curated. Honestly, whatever the wedding special. Honestly, there should be the wedding special. Put it on Netflix, and then, make $1 bajillion filming it like they did with the Kardashian wedding or the royal wedding or whatever. Totally on board with that. Go ahead, go nuts. And I think the demand is there for sure. Well, part of it is like for a lot of women, this feels like validation of their poor life choices, and they think that they are also going to get married. And I don't know that that's, I don't know that it's realistic. I mean, I think Taylor Swift gets to be the queen of girl boss feminism because she's a billionaire. Not everybody is a billionaire. If you're like if you're like Susan in HR, you're probably not. It's probably not going to happen for you. You're probably not going to marry a football player who simps for you in public, but.
She put it up in that post that they got engaged with the caption, "Your English teacher and your gym teacher are getting married," with a little dynamite sign there. So very exciting here that we get to break that and tell you about that.
All right, Swifties for life. I have a feeling, though, based on his prior statements, the president will not be having a Taylor Swift wedding in the ballroom. Hopefully that can shift and change. We can have some world peace, right?
That was great. That was so great. I'm so glad that we dedicated airtime to that. By the way, that when that story was happening, they could have been talking about the Epstein thing. Like, they didn't actually need to wait until the survivors appeared out of nowhere to draw attention to it. If that was actually like a real serious priority for the media, they could have just brought that up. They could have just brought that up and talked about it. That's what they could have done. I could have talked about it the whole time. I don't know. This is what makes people think that we're a deeply unserious country. You know, like this is the kind of stuff that's like, oh, people would rather think about the Taylor Swift engagement than the Epstein list. I can't really blame them. I mean, it's like super bleak. It's like not that fun to think about. I don't blame them for feeling that way, but the parasocial relationship that this millennial girl boss generation has with Taylor Swift is something that I really hope science dedicates time to studying at some point. That's fascinating. I think it's because I think it really is because her dating patterns mirrored their own, and now she's getting her happy ending, and that makes them believe that they can have a happy ending, and then it feels like a win for them. It feels like a win for women everywhere, I guess. I don't know. Hard for me to relate. Can't relate. Yeah, I also like the fact that you're taking the risk. If you criticize Taylor Swift like publicly, you are risking ending your bloodline, which is crazy. It's crazy that that's the hill they want to die on. I don't understand. Like that astrology, I don't get. Like if you talk shit about astrology, women will be like, well, you're clearly a misogynist. If you can't believe in I don't know why that is. That if you just don't believe in like retarded pattern seeking witchcraft, then it's like you're suddenly like an enemy of women everywhere. It's just like all women have this same hobby, and we're supposed to pretend like, oh yes, that's equally valid as like knowing things with rationality. Absolutely. No, totally get it. Absolutely. I'm an Aquarius. Whatever. We're supposed to just like placate that. And it's the Taylor Swift thing. We have to performatively act like we give a shit that Taylor Swift is getting engaged, or that women in our lives will throw a hysterical shit fit. That's, I think, if you did a bad job choosing, though. Did a bad job choosing. All the women I know personally that are like around me are like fucking sick of Taylor Swift. So I don't know why, but that's kind of a trend. I think there's more. I don't know if there's more people who love Taylor Swift or more people who hate Taylor Swift or who are tired of hearing about Taylor Swift. I would put myself in the category of tired of hearing about Taylor Swift. I don't really give a shit one way or another. I just like don't. And when I hear about it, it's not that interesting to me. So I don't know why they care so much. I would love to have a Swiftie on and kind of probe the psychology of Swiftie. I don't know what's going on with that. I'm just speculating at this point, but yeah. Did you guys, by the way, speaking of not being a serious country, which is kind of where we're at, have you guys been tracking what's been happening in the UK? So for those of you that don't know, it's actually pretty common for now people in the UK can get arrested for tweets, which is very exciting. Very exciting. We are moving quickly into our dystopian reality in the UK. It's horrible. So this guy, Graham Linehan, do you guys know who he is? Doesn't matter. He's a comedy writer. Anyway, he's kind of become something of an anti-trans activist in recent years. And so he recently got arrested, and we're going to pull some stuff up here. Like, this is the tweet he got. Oh, hold on, let me share this tab. This is the tweet Graham Linehan got arrested for. A trans-identified male is in a female-only space. He is committing a violent, abusive act. Make a scene, call the cops, and if all else fails, punch him in the balls. So pretty funny. Pretty funny. Wait, hold on. Yeah, and so... Yeah. Anyway, so he got arrested for that. So that's not ideal. And we actually have, I have audio. Let's see if I can find it. I have audio of his arrest. Oh, here we go. I have it. I do have it. I actually have my links ready this time, guys. Anyways, this is the leaked audio from his arrest. So I'm going to play that. That'll be fun. Listen to this.
It is alleged that on the 19th of April 2025, you published a post on X that was deemed to be intended to stir up hatred, insight, violence.
All right, so the cops are saying that they're at his house to arrest him because he posted something, that tweet that I just showed you. And the purpose of the tweet was to instill hatred or incite violence. And I understand why they made that inference, but that to us, obviously, the kind of things we tweet on a daily basis, shout out Red Strider, it seems kind of silly to arrest somebody for that. Especially because it's still up, so it didn't violate Twitter's terms of service, so they didn't even take it down. It's still up, so.
What was the post? I'll tell you.
That's the other thing, too. It's like, what post? And it's like, I can't tell you. That's creepy. That's creepy. Go ahead.
You sure? Comedy writer. You're under arrest.
Yeah. He can't believe this is happening. Can't believe it's happening. You know what this country looks like to America? Yeah, it looks like the future. That's what it looks like to America. Because remember, what's really important about this is the UK is able to do this because they don't have anything like the First Amendment enshrined in their constitution. So they don't have any like legal protections they can appeal to in that way. But the thing is, I say this all the time. People in power don't care about the limitations of the Constitution. They just do whatever they can get away with. So there are people here who think that our police should be able to come to your house and arrest you for tweets. They think that already. And they're already... Do you see that story of them experimenting with drones, security drones, to take out school shooters, right? How long is it going to be before you tweet something offensive and government drones come to your house to take you out? Like, how long is that? How long are we really waiting on that? Go ahead.
I'm going to sue you into the ground.
Yeah.
I'm going to sue you into the ground. I'm going to sue you into the ground.
Yeah, that might work. That might not. I don't know. If we still had a functioning legal system, then this would be the kind of thing that you could sue people for. I don't know if he's going to win that. He may win in the end, but I'm not sure. England's kind of going in a scary direction right now. It's weird that this is the law enforcement priority, by the way, because England has such a problem with violent crime stemming from the migrant crisis they're dealing with. But this is the law enforcement priority. They took time out of their day to go focus on this. I think from a lot of people outside looking in, it's really hard to understand why they would do that. It's weird. Like, why are these the priorities? And my suspicion is that they are that because of DEI policies in the police department, they got true believers in the woke philosophy running the police department. And that's who's setting the law enforcement priorities. It's true believers, I would guess. I don't know this for sure, but we'll have to see.
I'm going to sue you all.
I also don't think necessarily the individual police officers are quote unquote just doing their jobs. Although the Nuremberg excuse is super lame and gay. You shouldn't be allowed to do it, but I do kind of think that's what's happening here. I think these guys are just kind of going along with it, and then the people who are setting policy, who got their jobs for DEI reasons, are enforcing the policies that allowed them to get their positions.
I dare you. I'm going over here so people
Sir, calm down. There's no need for it.
There's no need for it. There's no need for it. This is exactly when you need it. This is exactly the time for it. What are you talking about?
Calm down.
Sir.
I've been with my trans activists for 8 years, and then you guys are working for them. You're
Anyway, so the next thing, anyway, so that's what happened there. I also want to show you, this is him showing up to court today. This is pretty funny. So he's wearing this sandwich board. Hold on. Says there's no such thing as a transgender.
Do you have a few words ahead of today's appearance?
And then, what's the other thing?
This guy's well, I'm gonna go say it.
Keep men out of women's sports. So he's like, no, I'm not going to let this go. I'm not going to let this go. And now he's going to court. I'm very interested to see how this is going to play out. Very interested to see how this is going to play out. Because at some point, the United Kingdom has to reckon with the fact that this is going to have a chilling effect on public discourse. And that this is something that a lot of normal people do not agree with.
You've got a lot of victims. You've got a lot of victims who harassed my family.
Go away.
Yikes. Yeah. That's horrifying. And make no mistake, there are people who absolutely want to do that here. 100% they want to bring that here. So, I've never met these people in the wild who think that there's stuff that you shouldn't be allowed to say, and if you say it and it makes them sufficiently uncomfortable, then you should face consequences. And the bad part is, like, the people who are saying that are the people who actually can't tell the difference. Like, they hear... They don't actually, they're not able to actually delineate the meaning of words. They just hear bad words and they freak out and they don't listen to anything else. Like, I had a joke for a long time that I was doing, which was about plus size women. And the way I kind of framed it was around, basically the way I framed it was so that like any woman who was listening in the audience could feel represented. And so it was like doing super well. And I was like doing it. And I did it at a fucking hipster bar one time. And I almost got kicked out because they heard fat and woman and dick in the same sentence, and they weren't able to hear the words in between and how they connected and what they actually meant. They just had a hysterical like freak out reaction and like an antibody response because it's like, no, you can't acknowledge that some women are plus size, and it's like, but I'm gonna say nice things about them. I was going to say nice things about him. That was the whole point. That's why I'm setting it up this way. I'm being nice. That's what I thought, but you can't do that. At least not in that environment. And anyway, my point is, these people who actually, they just hear bad words and freak out. They can't delineate the meaning. And those are the people that want to set the speech policies and make it illegal for you to say words that make them uncomfortable. It's the people you would least want to decide what the temperature of the conversation has to be. Those are the people who want to decide for you. And these are the same people that have a problem with J.K. Rowling, right? People who aren't actually able to like read what she's saying and decipher meaning from it. They just know it's vaguely bad. And so this happened when I was in law school. There was an effort to cancel a professor, and the faculty did like a presentation on it, and I went to the presentation, and there were a lot of undergrads there, so it was kind of like not their problem, but they were there. And I kind of talked to the people around me. I was like, did anybody read the whole thing that he wrote? Because it was something he wrote that was potentially going to get him canceled, whatever. I was like, did any of you read it? If any of you read it? None of them had read it. Nobody around me had read it. I read it. None of the people around me had read it. And if you had read it, you would have been like, oh, I see. There's like nuance here. I understand. This is a difference of opinion thing. This is not like he's some kind of like evil monster who hates minorities or something. This is just like a difference of opinion. And he expressed it in a way that was like maybe sounds harsh or inartful on the ear. But if you actually like parse what the words mean, you know, without having a hysterical emotional reaction, then you see it's like, oh, okay, this is just an opinion. Okay. Then you can keep it pushing. Right. It's just an opinion you don't like. and the other thing too is what's particularly frustrating is that when you criticize this particular group of people, it tends to create this hysterical antibody reaction from the state. Like the state will come down on you, and this is like a really, it's a bizarre that this group has so much influence over policy, over state policy. It's weird, like why, and I think that's because the gender part of the woke stuff is load bearing. Like it's a fundamental presupposition about reality, and by getting you to question that, they can get you to question everything else, and they can just like backfill it with whatever dumb bullshit they want. Let's see, there was another one I wanted to show you. We'll see if I can find it. Yeah, dude, that's pretty crazy though. I'm super. Really scary times to be in the UK right now, and Canada too. And by the way, before you get super cocky, it's like hurdy-dirty-dur, we have the First Amendment. It's like, yeah, but okay. So it's called the Anglo-American common law tradition. So all of our law is descended from English common law, and that's true for Canada as well. Canada also has English common law, and so does the whole Anglosphere. Australia has it. India has it, weirdly, because of their proximity to the empire. They're also, even though they're not part of the Anglosphere, they have an English common law tradition. And one of the things that distinguishes the English common law tradition is that it builds on existing precedents. So the fact that they are able to reason their way into this box is a feature, not a bug. Right? It's a feature of liberalism, not a bug. So this is like tolerance. This is tolerance, like turned up to 11. It's becoming so tolerant that you're actually like punishing people for having thoughts that are a threat to tolerance, because everyone must get along. And if you point out that people are not getting along, then you're a threat to everyone getting along. And the number one priority is everyone gets along. All right, so I had a thing I was going to show you guys. I don't have it currently, but yeah, my suspicion is that the people that after a DEI push, so what happens is this is one of the ways these things spread. You do a DEI push and you get a bunch of DEI people in charge, and then those people, because they're true believers in the ideology, right, and they're supporters of it, they push more diversity, more equity, more inclusion, and you bring in more true believers. And it kind of just slowly takes over every institution that it becomes a part of for that reason. And then that's its law enforcement priorities. And that's why you've got, you know, that other one that there's another video we did on my other show, Touch Grass, a while ago, that was just like, you know, moderately attractive British women going jogging in yoga pants to try to arrest guys who are catcalling them. And by the way, this is in a country where they have issues with migrant crime. That's what their law enforcement priorities are. And now they're arresting people for mean tweets. So that's kind of upsetting. I don't know. And it's like, that's, I think, because they believe their own hype. I don't think the people who are pushing this onto the population, I think that is like a control mechanism. But for the service, most of the cops are just like following directions. They're just like following what they don't have. They're not like reasoning, you know, outside of that. They were just told to go arrest somebody, so they go and do it. And then the people who are in charge are, you know, true believers in the woke phenomenon. So pretty crazy. And I guess don't get cocky and think that this can't happen here just because the First Amendment is on paper. By the way, my theory, this is like my little conspiracy theory. I think they stopped teaching cursive so that pretty soon, in a couple generations, people won't be able to read the Constitution. That's my theory. I don't know. That's like my little pet conspiracy. I just believe it. You won't be able to read all documents if you can't read cursive, and then you'll be maximally historically illiterate. And it's kind of like a necessary precondition to be woke that you be historically illiterate. Because if you have studied history at all, then you're going to be like, uh-oh. I've seen this before. This is bad. This is taking all of the worst parts of human nature and shoving them to the front, because that's what it does. It's like, hey, are you emotional and resentful and angry, and do you hate it when everything doesn't go your way, and do you fucking hate dealing with people who think differently than you? Try wokeness. And you can think the same as everybody else around you, and then you can gain this hysterical emotional leverage just by, like, you know, shrieking at people. And they will become scared of you, and they will do what you want. Yeah. Yeah, Strider. We have the First Amendment, but we also have the Second Amendment to make sure it all stays in place. Yeah, they don't have that either. That's another one. Yeah, and I mean, you can kind of see like why now we're kind of starting to see why the founders structured things the way they did. And they kind of set up the different branches to be kind of like oppositional to each other in ways. And then I don't think they understood how much deeply entrenched bureaucracy was going to just like make life unlivable. I don't think they understood that, like how much that was going to like fuck with everything. I don't think they saw how explosive, how tyrannical the HR department could be. You know, I don't think they had any clue that was going to happen. I mean, but also if you could talk to the founders today and they would be like, wait, everybody votes? No, that's not what we said. That's a terrible idea. It would be like, yeah, no, everybody. And they're like, no, bad idea, bro. That's what they would say. Universal suffrage is a terrible fucking idea. Yeah, terrible fucking idea. Most people who vote are just like, give me more Pringles. That's it. And that's their whole thing. It's like, and as long as you give them more Pringles, they'll keep voting for you. So in democracy, no one's ever gonna vote to get fewer Pringles. So you're just gonna vote for more Pringles forever. And then eventually the government is not gonna be able to give everybody their Pringles. It's like, so the pressure is once you've achieved some level of wealth and opulence, the pressure is on the state to keep it going forever. And if the wealth and opulence starts to slip, then they're like, hey, the wealth and opulence is slipping, fix it. And they're like, oh yeah, we'll fix it next time. And then eventually it takes people a while to figure out that's like, maybe there isn't an easy fix. Maybe you can't just like wave your hand and it fixes it and we'll go back to being wealthy and opulent. Like maybe things are fucked now. And it will take, the ability to face difficult truths in order to get it back on track. Which is something that our society is really struggling with right now. The Epstein thing, the trans thing, even the Taylor Swift thing. The fact that Taylor Swift has no impact on your life, and many of you hags are going to die alone. But that's like not a nice thing to say to people. It's not a nice thing to say that like men can't be women no matter how hard they want to be. That's not a nice thing to say. And like also the fact that it's almost certainly true that almost every nation in the world, certainly in the developed world, is led by like demonic pedophile lizard people. That's like a really hard thing that we're just gonna have to face. Like if like half the shit they're saying about the Epstein shit is true, I mean that's gonna be super challenging to grapple with as a country. And the longer we wait, the harder it's gonna be. Oh man, that's tough. And it's probably, yeah. And same with the fact that we've gone like all in on this like men are allowed to be women thing, and that you could just like change your gender or whatever, and you could get like Frankenstein to pump full of hormones, and that's gonna fix everything. The fact that we've gone so like hardcore in on that makes turning around from that and admitting it's like, oh, we might have fucked up on this. That makes that really hard, and it's tough. It's tough to admit. And we do not live in an emotionally mature nation. We live in a hysterical nation, as evidenced by the fact that we cannot handle difficult truths, no matter how bad we may want to. And I think, I don't know, one thing I like about my audience is I think my audience has a really high tolerance for truth. We've got like a lot of very high IQ, high morality people out there. Those are my viewers. That's, you attract that kind of audience, which is good. Happy I attract that kind of audience. Happy for you people. Very grateful. Very grateful. But no, I don't think that's broadly representative of American. I think the big mistake people make is they think, oh, because I have independent thoughts and I care about morality and I care about what's true and I understand that my emotions are not right all the time, that other people also understand that, and other people have the capacity to self-reflect, and other people can handle difficult information, it can parse stuff like that. And it's like, no, most people just want their Pringles. They want their Pringles and their Netflix and their new flavor of Oreos. They want a new flavor of Mountain Dew at Taco Bell. They want their Crunchwrap Supreme. That's most people most of the time. That's what they want. And as long as they get those things, they're not going to ask too many questions about the Epstein list. You know. So this is, yeah, the media is just trying to. Just fucking with us. Anyway, I'm not going to talk about that too much more. For more on that, let's make sure to hang out with me tonight. I'm going to be on Ironcast later tonight. That's really where you're going to want to catch me. So make sure to head over to my good buddy Iron Oxide's channel if you have not subscribed to him already. Make sure to go ahead and head over there. Hang out with me. It'll be fun. We're going to talk about this more. We're going to talk about a lot of things more. My name is Theo Snodgrass. This has been Theocracy. Thank you for hanging out with me today. It's been a lot of fun. I have the best audience on the internet. I say that every time. You can find me Tuesdays and Thursdays doing this, 10:30 a.m. Pacific time. We're doing Theocracy. And then Saturdays, 11 a.m. Pacific time, we're doing Touchgrass. And that's my panel show. I love that show. Touchgrass with Theo Snodgrass. That's a lot of fun. We love that show. A lot of fun. Love my panel. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, this has been a lot of fun. I'm going to go ahead and sign off. Actually, my outro music is the intro for my other show, Touchgrass. So if you watch that and that looks exciting to you, looks like a lot of fun, go ahead and come hang out. All right. Take it easy, folks.
Look good. This Johnson crack look good. Well, look at my crack. No. Look at that crack.
Are we looking at ours as cat now?
Yes. Sorry, I didn't hear a damn thing you said.
All right.
And because I was a gazillionaire and I like doing it so much, I cut that price for free.
Species is dying. The birth rate is plummeting. Women are chopped. But yeah, you know what? Get a fucking cat.
I know even more about grants.